Hello, happy 4th of July, July 4th, 2022. Today's a Monday. Hopefully, you're enjoying your family, your friends, and thinking about independence. And what better day to discuss a little bit about the elections. Voter Education 365. At this time, I'm going to bring on so you can hear Dominique. She's going to just tell you a little bit about Voter Education 365. Dominique?
So, our mission statement is we will strive to provide voters with the tools to overcome all barriers and hurdles that have historically prohibited comprehensive voter participation. We will work to eliminate fragmented dissemination of information related to voting policies, practices, and procedures. We will empower individuals with the knowledge and capability to combat voter suppression. We will fervently publicize the fact that all politics are local. We will spearhead efforts to educate the masses in order to help them develop a clear understanding that every aspect of their lives are impacted by voting. We will encourage active participation by all in all local, regional, and national elections. We will cultivate ambassadors of voting, charged with mobilizing their communities to engage in all political processes and motivated to encourage their neighbors to pay it forward and inspire others to do the same.
That's just a little bit about our mission. And we repeat that so that we can be constantly reminded of what our purpose is here and why we feel it's so very important to share it with all of you. We thank you for signing up and being a member of our YouTube family, our Facebook family, and we want to make sure that we continue to grow. So please share this information, share our link. We would like for us to hit over 200 people today, if possible. So let's keep working together to bring topical information to you in a nonpartisan way. We just rolled off of a primary. The primary was on Tuesday, uh, June the 28th, and that was last week. We did not have a great turnout uh, statewide. We're talking New York State statewide. The turnout declined from the last gubernatorial race by half. 13% of registered Democrats voted in this primary, which equaled 865,000 individuals statewide. Of the 6.5 million registered Democrats here in New York. With that vote, the sitting governor garnered 67% of that vote. Remember, in New York, primaries, you have to be registered in the particular party in order to be able to vote in a primary. So for that primary, 67% of all Democrats that voted for Governor Hochul. On the other side, 16% of registered Republicans voted, equaling 447,000 Republicans that voted in this statewide election. Of the 2.7 million registered Republicans in the state of New York, 16%, which garnered the winner, uh, Zeldin, he had 44% of the votes cast in the Republican primary. So that just tells you a little bit about both sides, the numbers that came out and voted and who they voted for. We also wanted to make sure for today, we're not going to make today a heavy day. Today is a day that we just want to do a few reminders for you so that way, as we move forward and as we move into the next part of this conversation, we want to just highlight again. One, that we will then have all of the screens and all of the logins listed on our website, on our website, on our YouTube page, as well as on our Facebook page. So any of the links that you hear me discussing that you may not remember, we want you to know that all of them will be on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube page. So let's start with a little bit of why it's important to vote. Another opportunity for us to say elections have consequences. You have the power to decide the quality of your life and the life you want for yourself. You see that only, think about it, if we run with what just took place in this last primary, 13% of Democrats and 16% of Republicans will be deciding who runs the state. Are you okay with that? Yourself and your future generations need you to vote. Voting is the chance to stand up to issues that you care about. Do you even know what the issues are? Do you even know what issues are important to yourself? Think about what's important to you so that that way it'll help you know who you're going to vote for. Voting is your chance to stand up for the issues you care about, like public transportation, raising minimum wage, or funding local schools. This is your life. Take the time to decide what's best for your life and that of your family. It's your money. You pay taxes. But do you know how that money is being used? Most people don't. Voting is your chance to choose how your tax dollars are spent, such as funding for healthcare and social services. We all need those services. Sometimes, you don't know when you're infirmed, you're ill, someone in your family, there's so many different ways that you can be assisted that you may not even know about. Non-voting is you basically giving up your chance and your opportunity and your voice. Elections are decided by the people who go out and vote. One of our guests last week said that there were several different candidates that lost by less than 6 votes. 6. If that's not an indication to tell you how important it is for each of your votes, that is a true indicator that 6 votes make a difference. Take some time and learn the measures and the candidates. If you don't vote, someone else will make the decision for you, and they're basically taking the power away from you. Do you want to make a positive impact? If you want to make a positive impact on your life and that of your community, support the candidates and the ballot measures that can help your community. Oftentimes, we don't think about what the platforms are for the individual candidates. Are they into the same thing that you are? Do they care about the environment? Do they care about your parks and your recreation? Do they care about educational system? Your community, your state, and even the nation for a greater good. What about the environment? What about erosion? What about climate change? Make your voice heard in these elections. The community depends upon you. We all have independent individuals that we call the mayor of certain areas, the mayor of the block. How do we support those individuals? We need to make sure that the mayor that's elected by the people, the governor, the Congress people, assembly people, your state senators, our communities are made up of friends and loved ones, neighbors and children. Some may not even know how important voting is. We want to have a show here where we're going to bring the kids on, and we want the kids to talk about what's important to them. So maybe the parents will listen to the kids. Kids may be learning in school about erosion and climate change and all that which is important to them, and maybe that'll influence their parents. So get ready. That's going to be one of our upcoming shows. Some may not know how important it is, while others don't have the privilege. A lot of people don't have the privilege to vote, and they wish they could. People who have moved to this country that have not maintained or gained citizenship yet, they look around and they're eager to vote. And those of us, some of us that have that right, have not taken the opportunity. Make sure the decision to vote and the decision that you're going to make is good for you and for those around you. When we were talking about people that are eligible to vote, we want to also remind you that the new voting law states that as of January 2020, 16-year-olds can now pre-register to vote. 16, 17, they can pre-register. The law lets those of those two ages, 16 and 17, fill out the voter registration application. And they can do it online or in person at the Board of Elections or at the DMV. And we're going to put up those links as well. And again, those links will also be available on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. They will then be automatically registered when they turn 18 without having to do anything differently, without a separate trip to the Board of Elections. That's what's huge. And that's what's most important, that you know that your 16 and 17-year-old can just go ahead and register now before their lives get so busy that they feel that they don't have time to go to the DMV or the Board of Elections. We also want each individual here to make sure that you check your registration. At that primary, there were a lot of people coming in saying that they were registered for a particular party, and they were not. And luckily, the Board of Elections keeps a copy of every document that you sign. So if you changed your party in one particular year and did not change it again, then that's the party you're registered. So we want to make sure you check your registration. How do you do that? You go to www.elections.ny.gov. That's www.elections.ny.gov. And check your registration. You can see if you're an active registrant. You can see what party you're registered to. You can see who all of your political leaders are. Who's your congressperson? Who's your state senator? Who's your assembly person? What assembly district are you in? We also want to then say, when we also discussed how some people don't have the privilege, right there, www.elections.ny.gov. Check your registration. Make sure that it's accurate. As we get through this program today, we're going to give you the dates of the next upcoming primary, because this year's primary was split in half. We had the gubernatorial as well as the assembly in June, and August the 23rd, we will then have the congressional as well as the state senators. Another bit of information that we want to discuss with you, and we can keep that up because I think that's important for people to see and understand. Another new law that was passed, this was just passed in 2021. It restores the right to vote for a person convicted of a felony upon release of incarceration. So basically, if you're not in jail, you can register to vote. No longer is there that waiting period after your post-release supervision. If a convicted felon is not incarcerated, they are eligible to register to vote. I know that you're all having barbecues today and talking to family, so make sure this information is a part of the conversation, a part of that which you're imparting to your family and friends, excuse me, so that they know that they too can register to vote. Prior to the enactment of this law, a convicted felon was not legally allowed to register to vote until they were discharged from parole or any post-release supervision that was included in their felony conviction. That is no longer the case. Know the current facts. Stay up to date. We want you to be current and understand that things change yearly. And we want to bring you that information so that we can constantly increase the community awareness, increase community involvement, and make sure that you feel as though you're a part of the process and not just working every day for no end gain. We want to also make sure when we go to www.elections.ny.gov that you check to see that uh, you check to see that you are not only active. We have a lot of people in New York that are what we consider or what we call snowbirds. Snowbirds are those people who may have another residence that they use for summers or to get away from the winters here in New York. And some people like the winters in New York and want to get away for the summers. So those individuals may have their mail forwarded. The Board of Elections does not take forwarded mail or does not allow their mail to be forwarded. So it may result in you then being listed as an inactive voter. It's easy to check. Just go to www.elections.ny.gov and make sure that when you leave town, you send a letter to the Board of Elections. Hello, my name is John Smith, and I will be out of the country for 3 months. Please forward my mail to this address. You're alerting the Board of Elections, and you're making sure that upon your return, that your mail is no longer forwarded if you send that information to the Board of Elections. So all of this information is here for you. We know that it may be a little bit hard to read here. That's why we're steering you to our YouTube and Facebook pages as we continue to build our website. It's coming along quite fabulously, but we don't want to put it out too soon. We want to make sure that you guys have all the information and it's all uploaded. Additionally, we have again, looking at www.elections.ny.gov, so much information you can find out. How to register for an absentee voter, how to, if you're military or overseas, what information do you need? The results of all the elections. What are the dates? How can you become a candidate? All of this is really easy to find on this site. Good luck to you in searching and navigating it. And if you have any questions as you're trying to read this, just shoot us an email at www. Not www. Shoot us an email at votereducation365 at gmail.com if you have any questions. But this site is your friend, and you'll find out so much information and be able to share and be a knowledgeable voter. We want you to be a knowledgeable voter. We want to make sure that the information we impart to you is helpful. So thank you for that part. Now, the other piece, we talked about you being 16, 17 and being able to register. We talked about people who are formerly incarcerated who are able to register. We want to make sure that we also talk about not only this site that you can register, but how you can register virtually. Now, registration virtually is through the DMV. The Board of Elections is in collaboration with the DMV, and you are able, if you have a license, a permit, or non-driver's license, you are able to then register online with the DMV. And that registration is quick, it's easy, and it's effortless. And this is what the page looks like. So you'd be able to go in, click on register to vote, DMV electronic voter registration. After you click there, you see how easy it is. And then it says register to vote or update your voter registration information. You click that little blue link and voila, you're able to submit your information here. You hit agree, you then hit submit. It's just that easy. So for all of you tech people who don't want to do things just on paper, easy, effortless through the DMV for you to be able to register. So what else do we want to share with you today? We want to share with you that the next primary date will take place, and we want you to help us make sure that there are more people out there voting than the 13% of Democrats that voted in this last primary and the 16% of Republicans that voted in this primary. We also want you to know that if you're not registered in one of the parties that is holding the primary, you are not able to vote in that primary. Now, there are a lot of other ways that people have been interested in changing their party, but you will then be directed. When I say not be able to vote on a machine, you can then fill out the affidavit envelope, and then that way it'll be determined as soon as it is received by the Board of Elections whether or not that vote will be eligible for the particular primary that you are voting in. What it will do, though, it will show that you have voted. So we cannot guarantee anything else. So we want you to make sure that the next primary date, Tuesday, August 23rd, with early voting. Now, see, I cannot stress the importance of early voting. Early voting will take place August the 13th through August the 21st. Check your local county information for your locations and your hours of operation because each county is different. But check and make sure. So why is that important? because that's a benefit that we have just received in the last 3 years to be able to vote prior to the election day. Now, when you look at the reasons that people are voting early, your work schedule, your vacation schedule. What if you get sick and you can't vote on election day? I got several calls for this primary that individuals had left town unexpectedly on the Sunday evening. And early voting is not on that Monday. Whatever the election date is, the Monday is a chance for the Board of Elections to turn over the machines and bring everything back to be prepared for the Tuesday election. So that Monday, it's you're not voting on that Monday on a machine. But each county has their own rules and regulations as to how, one, with your absentee application, you can request an absentee application. But know that the new law states that if a person has requested an absentee um, application, then they are no longer permitted to cast a ballot on a voting machine if they've already been issued an absentee ballot for that election. Voters who have already been issued the absentee ballot can still vote in person using that affidavit ballot. So, not on the machine. The affidavit ballot will be kept separate until the election is completed. Election officer officials will verify whether the voter's absentee ballot had been received, and if the voter's absentee ballot was received, then the affidavit ballot will not be counted. If the voter's absentee ballot has been received or has not been received, the affidavit ballot will be counted. So instead of going through all those hieroglyphics, just vote early. Go to early voting. Vote on a machine. I'll give an example of Suffolk County. In Suffolk County, during early voting, wherever the locations are, if you are a resident of Suffolk County, you can then vote in that any of the early voting locations. But be mindful, that's not the same in every county. I just gave you an example of Suffolk County. So I think, Dominique and Smiley, I think that we've given them a whole lot of information for today, and we've done it in just under 30 minutes. So today's July 4th segment that we're producing for you is for you to celebrate, for you to have knowledge of what's going on, for you to celebrate your knowledge, and lastly, for you to make sure you put it in your calendar so you're prepared for the next election. We ask that you subscribe to our YouTube page. Our YouTube page is, we would love for us to be able to increase the numbers, come to you even with more information, and we just need some more viewership. And we want to make sure that each and every one of you share this with your family and your friends, and that we are able to grow expeditiously. And not only that, we want to make sure that we can keep bringing you topical information. Hopefully, you found this information that we've imparted to you today helpful. And as we do each week, we want to make sure that you know that we care about you, and we want you to make sure that you care about your community as much as we care about you. From Voter Education 365, 501c3 and incorporated in New York, we say thank you for listening again this week. Share this information. Take this and send the link to friends and family. Join our YouTube page and enjoy the fireworks. Happy July 4th. We know that there's a lot of meaning there, and we want you to enjoy the day. God bless each of you. Bye now.